Let's take you to Florida. The desperate search for survivors of the condo collapse in Surfside.
Images just incredible. Each time you look at them, at least 9 people dead. More than 150 are still missing. Teams working around the clock here with dogs and sonar technology to find any potential survivors. Meanwhile, the investigation is only beginning.
Yeah, Jeff Patterson is live in Surfside with more on this. Jeff, you know, it's been several days, but yesterday family members of the missing did visit the scene. What are you hearing from them?
Well, good morning. There was some frustration among the family members that more people had not been found in this. They're, of course, interested in any survivors first and foremost, but they're also wondering why more remains or bodies have not been found within that debris pile. But you have to imagine it's a 12-story building pancaked into just a few feet. We're talking about concrete and rebar that is now stacked on top layer after layer after layer, and they're having to cut through that. Even building materials, even carpet that was in some of the condos, they're having to cut through just to use knives to get through some of that. And so it is painstakingly slow and agonizingly slow, of course, for the family members. That's why they've been so frustrated at this, but that's why also they took the family members out to the scene yesterday just so they could show them what it looks like and show them the intense effort that is going on to try to bring resolution to recover their loved ones. But I can't even imagine what those families are going through, hoping to hear some kind of word, any word, about what's going on that pile of debris.
You know, Jeff, is there any clarity for those families or a timetable of how long this rescue mission is actually going to last, and as long as they're going to call it a search and rescue before a search and recovery?
I have not heard a timetable. I know that they have every search and rescue team from the entire state of Florida now here in Surfside. They've brought in people from the Panhandle all the way, you know, to Central Florida, down here helping out in this because they can only work about an hour at a time. Then they have to come off the pile. Other people go on. They do that in a 12-hour rotation for each team, bringing in fresh people as quickly as they can. They did have yesterday someone here from Israel because they have expertise being in a war zone, and there's a high Jewish population here. So Israel has offered assistance, and yesterday they were given some comfort to the family members, telling them they have seen cases of survivors up to 100 hours after initial disaster. You might be able to tell behind me, or it was just a short time ago, raining very hard in here. It's difficult for the rescuers. They have to come off the stack if there's lightning, but that means that there's water that can matriculate down through the debris field, potentially going into those voids. If there's somebody there, it's not great water, but at least it could be survivable. Yeah. And so that's the hope they were giving him for some kind of a miracle to happen.
You got to look for a silver lining in this. But, you know, the big question, Jeff, is what happened? I mean, have investigators gotten any closer to identifying a cause of this collapse?
I think they're working on that. They're certainly looking at the engineering reports that have been given years back in this, and some of the residents report major structural cracks in some of the concrete leading up to this. There's a sister condominium next to this building built by the same contractor, the same time, the same material, and a lot of those people, as you can understand, are getting out of that building on a voluntary basis because they simply don't feel safe in there. Even the mayor of Surfside told them he can't give them assurances right now that their building is safe, so they want an engineer to go in and look at that building to make sure that everything is safe there. Then they can move back in, but I think it'll be some time before they nail down the exact cause of why this building came down.
Yeah, I heard from a friend of the Pix 11 Morning News who lives in that building behind you, Jeff, that curved white building, who said that they were told that they cannot return for at least another week as they investigate and examine all of those buildings. Thank you so much for your live reporting this morning. I appreciate it.
Tough situation down there. All right.